Did you notice your grocery bill creeping higher again? Well, brace yourself, because according to the USDA, grocery prices just spiked another 5% in July 2025, and experts are warning that August could be the tipping point for major food shortages. Now listen carefully. This isn't fear-mongering. These are cold, hard facts. Here's the reality. 70% of American shoppers already say they're worried about rising food costs. And honestly, they should be. Because by the time we hit the holiday season, many of the everyday items you throw in your cart could either be double the price or completely gone from shelves. So in today's video, I'm going to reveal 5 grocery items you absolutely need to stockpile this August before they vanish or skyrocket beyond reach. And trust me, when we get to number 4, you're going to be shocked. It's already disappearing from major retailers, and most people don't even know it's happening. Before we dive in, hit that like button if you want to stay ahead of these shortages, and subscribe because I'll be tracking every update as this situation develops. Alright, let's get started with the first item. Item 1, rice and oats. Now, rice and oats might sound boring, right? Just plain old pantry staples. But let me tell you something. These two humble foods are sitting at the center of a global food storm. Take rice, for example. India, the world's biggest rice exporter, slapped a 20% export duty earlier this year to protect their own market. At the same time, the U.S. hit certain Indian rice imports with tariffs of up to 50%. That means the bag of basmati rice you bought for $25 last year could cost you $37 or more by Christmas, if you can even find it. And it's not just price. Importers are already warning that certain varieties may not even make it onto shelves this fall. I even heard from a wholesaler on the East Coast who said restaurants are now being rationed on bulk rice because supply is so tight. Now oats, they're in their own mess. Canada, our top supplier, has been whiplashed by extreme weather, first drought, then heavy rains. And while acreage is up this year, mills are running lean until the fresh harvest hits the market. That means breakfast costs are quietly creeping higher. Wholesale oat prices are already up 18% since spring. Here's the hidden danger. When oats get tight, everything from granola bars to oat milk suddenly jumps in price. So even if you don't eat oatmeal, your favorite snack or dairy-free latte could get a lot more expensive. Action plan. Stock up on white rice, not brown. White rice, stored properly, can last up to 30 years in an airtight container in a cool, dark place. Old school trick? Drop a few bay leaves in the container. They naturally repel pests like weevils. For oats, grab rolled or steel-cut varieties. Stored in sealed containers, they'll last about 2 years. Don't wait. In 2022, we saw the same pattern. Prices crept up slowly, then suddenly jumped 30% in 1 month. Rice and oats may not sound exciting, but in a shortage, they're gold in a bag. Item 2, dried beans and lentils. Now let's talk about one of the most underrated power foods on the planet, beans and lentils. Here's the deal. Argentina, one of the world's major bean exporters, is battling a brutal drought. Crops are shrinking, exports are falling, and when supply drops, prices surge. Organic beans and lentils are already up nearly 40% over the past year. But here's the kicker. Demand is rising at the same time. Thanks to the plant-based eating trend, more families, more food companies, and even restaurants are leaning hard on beans and lentils for affordable protein. You've probably noticed lentil pasta, chickpea snacks, black bean burgers, they're everywhere. That's demand pressure. Let me tell you a quick story. My neighbor Omar went to grab his usual bulk black beans last week. The first 2 stores? Completely empty. Third store? No bulk section left. He ended up buying canned beans at triple the price per pound. Don't be Omar. Action plan. Buy dried beans and lentils now while prices are still reasonable. Bulk bins are your best friend. Cheaper and less packaging. Store in airtight jars or food-grade buckets. Toss in a couple bay leaves to repel pantry pests. Stored in cool, dark conditions, beans and lentils can last 25 to 30 years. Rotate your stock. Eat the oldest first and top up with fresh. Bottom line, beans and lentils aren't just survival food anymore. They're inflation-proof protein that could save your grocery budget when meat prices are out of control. Item 3, canned goods. Alright, now we're moving into territory that should make everyone sit up straight: canned goods. Here's what most shoppers don't realize. There's a severe aluminum shortage. Manufacturers are quietly cutting production by as much as 30%. I spoke with a Walmart manager who showed me their system. They're getting about half of what they order when it comes to canned tomatoes, corn, and beans. And that's only half the story. Weather disasters are reducing the crops that would normally go into those cans. Less aluminum, fewer crops, less product. It's a perfect storm. So what's the play? Go for store brands. Generic canned goods often come from the exact same facilities as the big names, but they're running up to 40% cheaper. My friend Sarah learned this the hard way. She paid $2.50 for a can of Del Monte corn when the store brand was sitting right next to it for $1.49. Same corn, same factory, different label. Action plan. Stock at least 50 to 60 cans per person in your household. Mix it up: vegetables, fruits, soups, meats. Write purchase dates on top with a permanent marker. Use oldest first. Canned goods are one of the smartest investments you can make before September, because experts are predicting another 15 to 20% price jump by then. Item 4. Powdered milk. I know. Powdered milk doesn't sound glamorous. Most people think it's just for camping trips or emergencies. But hear me out. This stuff is basically insurance for your kitchen. Fresh milk prices are already up nearly 20% since January, and USDA is hinting at another hike before the holidays. But powdered milk? Shelf-stable, lightweight, and it lasts years. Here's the key. Non-fat powdered milk can last 2 to 10 years in normal packaging, and up to 25 years in oxygen-sealed cans. Whole milk powder doesn't last as long because of the fat, but you can blend non-fat with shelf-stable half-and-half or coconut milk powder for a creamier taste. And don't just think of it as milk. It works in baking, smoothies, yogurt, even emergency baby formula in a pinch. My aunt actually found a can from 2015 in the back of her pantry. She made pancakes with it last month and said you couldn't tell the difference. Action plan. Focus on non-fat powdered milk for longer shelf life. Store in cool, dry conditions, ideally 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Once opened, transfer to airtight glass jars and label the date. So while everyone else panics over $7 gallons of fresh milk, you'll be sipping lattes in peace. Item 5. Flour and baking essentials. Now, this one is already starting to bite. Flour and baking supplies are under serious pressure. Whole wheat flour production just hit a 10-year low in 2025. Ukraine and Russia, normally responsible for 20% of the world's wheat, are still disrupted, and other major wheat producers are suffering extreme weather. I visited 3 grocery stores last weekend, and let me tell you, Costco's flour aisle looked like it had been hit by a tornado. The manager told me they're getting maybe 40% of their normal shipments. Prices up 47% since spring. That $4.50 bag of King Arthur flour in March, now it's $6.60, and experts say it could hit $9 by October. But flour isn't the only problem. Sugar prices are exploding too. Up 75% in just 4 weeks due to drought in Asia. And yeast shortages are quietly creeping back. 68% of bakeries report supply issues. Action plan. Buy different varieties. All-purpose, bread flour, whole wheat. Bread flour usually disappears first. Store flour in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. This extends shelf life from 6 months to 5 to 8 years. Don't forget sugar, salt, baking powder, and yeast. These little things vanish first in crises. A pro tip I picked up from a master baker. Keep flour in food-grade buckets with Gamma-Seal lids and sugar and salt in large mason jars. Stored this way, my supplies have stayed fresh for years. When flour prices double, you'll be glad you stocked up.